Sneakers and Cleats, the podcast.
Welcome back to the Sneakers and Cleats podcast. It is Friday, November 10th. This is episode 48. I'm Matt Roy. That's Zach Hedrick. It is freezing in here. He says it's set at 68. It's literally like 45 degrees in this room.
We shall adapt and overcome. We're
Yeah,
good.
You're in t-shirts and in shorts. I'm in shorts, and I feel like I need to bring like 3 different outfits for when I come to work. One for just this room, one for on air, and then one for going out and filming.
It's that time of year. Yeah, you gotta have different outfits.
We got to do this thing outdoors. It's probably nicer out there than it is in here right now.
And the engineers and Luis, cringe at the thought of doing something in another location.
Yeah, you're right. We don't want to move anymore. That's fine. So we got a pretty pared down rundown today. We're going to try and speed these things up a little bit. I've been, listening to some suggestions online and all that stuff. They're going a little too long, but I think we'll stay in that sweet spot, 30, 35 minutes if we don't digress too much.
Shot clock.
Shot clock on the
is on.
It's going from like the normal like four corners offense to where there's no shot clock, to where we're putting a shot clock on it, 30, 35 minutes. So
let's do it.
All right, number game first. 48 is kind of a tough one. I think of Jacob deGrom, even though he's probably the pitcher who has the most talent and accomplished the least with the talent that they are given because of the injuries that he's had. I was looking at stats there a little earlier today. He's got 81 wins, and I feel like he's been in the league for a decade.
A while, yeah.
Besides the 2 Cy Youngs that he had, and I will always die on the hill, about 3 years ago, I think he was the best pitcher in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
He can't stay healthy, so it just kind of sucks for him.
Yeah, it's one of those cautionary tales, I guess. But, yeah, the talent is undeniable. You can't say that. And then 2 Cy Youngs, not many pitchers can add that to their resume. So he's not the first one that leaps to mind to me. Torrey Hunter growing up watching baseball in the 90s. I mean, the dude, center fielder in Minnesota. Also in Los Angeles, he was solid as well.
Yep.
And a pretty solid bat. So he always leaps to mind for me. For the Texas Rangers fans, it's Colby Lewis, of recent memory. Of course, he was phenomenal in the postseasons in 2010, 2011. Kind of had an interesting career, too, where, it was like he was in baseball, then went and pitched over in Japan, then came back and was still successful and stuff. So he's a Texas Rangers legend.
Yeah, I mean, and I wrote it down a couple other ones. Torrey Hunter was one I wrote down just because his years with the Angels, his years in Minnesota, obviously one of the best center fielders. Defensively, especially, that we've ever seen. And then Eric Gagne I wrote down just because his peak was peak reliever. Like, he was the best reliever in the league with the Dodgers there.
Wasn't he 38 with the Dodgers?
I think it was 48. It was 48 there, and it might have been 48 with the Red Sox too. But then he was peak Eric Gagne, peak reliever with the Dodgers, and then went to the Red Sox and sucked. So that was nice of him.
After he left the Dodgers, it was not good.
No, all downhill from there, all downhill. But, all good things for him. So quick recap. What we're going to be doing today is talking Spurs after a couple of really, really bad games that they've had, which will happen with a young team, but got blown out by the Knicks in the Garden, in the world's most famous arena on Wednesday. Pretty ugly game for Wemby right out the bat. Airballed a couple of them, and just overall was not very good performance by any Spur, let alone Wemby. So we'll get into that a little today. A couple of interesting things been written about them this week as well, about the team dynamic as a whole. And we'll also get into the Cowboys looking to rebound against the Giants as huge favorites this week. I think one of the biggest games they've been, one of the biggest spreads, at least, for the Cowboys in a very long time.
It's the biggest in the league all season.
Yeah, 17 points, I think, is the last
16,
I saw.
17, yeah.
Yep. So let's get to the Spurs first. Obviously, they lost on Wednesday. It was an ugly performance. Don't want to belabor that a little bit too much. They've lost their last 3. But Mike Finger of the San Antonio Express News had a fantastic column yesterday. And just you should all go read it specifically and to get the full thing. But to summarize, it was basically that if you're last on the bus, you get in trouble. Like in high school, if you're last on the bus, you miss your deadline, you're going to get in trouble. And the guys didn't want Wemby to get in trouble, and there's power in numbers. So Vassell and Keldon and I think it was a couple other guys that sang Bassey.
Zach Collins.
Yeah, Bassey and Zach Collins. And a lot of guys waited for him while Wemby was kind of hugging his mom and kind of getting consoled and getting some words of encouragement. And they didn't want him to be last. And it was a great anecdotal story of how close this team is and like why this team, despite the blowouts that they've been victim of, from the Clippers to the loss against the Raptors that they were up by 22, and then the blowout that they faced in probably one of the ugliest games they've ever played against the Pacers on Monday, and then the blowout against the Knicks. It's just like this team isn't going to fracture because it seems like they all love each other.
Yeah, I don't expect anything less from a Spurs team, a young Spurs team. I mean, they had to do that with 3 19-year-olds last year: Jeremy Sohan, Malachi Branham, and Blake Wesley. So this is nothing new to them. And yeah, these guys are supposed to be sophomores and juniors in college. So yeah, it's gonna definitely be some growing pains, and I think it was Keldon he was saying. Yeah, he's saying goodbye to his family. Of course, that's a tough time for anybody. I thought his family was going to be staying here in San Antonio. Maybe that was the setup for maybe a couple weeks, or first couple months, and now that it's like, okay, yeah, you've got settled and everything now. You do your thing. We're gonna be around here and there. So
I think Don had said that his mom's staying here.
Okay. Well, yeah, but I mean,
still getting consoled
for how long?
Right.
That's the thing. Is it indefinitely? Probably not. But yeah, saying goodbye to your family. That's important to anybody. So now he's got his brothers on the team. So it's great to see. It was. I just read snippets of it. I wasn't able to get in the whole thing, but yeah, reading that first part, it was. Don't expect anything less from this Spurs team.
Yeah, and the amazing thing is, like, Mike is writing this story, and in the story he writes that Pop wasn't there to witness this. It's like the things that you do when the coach isn't watching is what's important. And the way that they're kind of like taking Wemby under their arms and they're not fracturing despite all of the questions. Like literally every single shoot around, someone asks someone else on the team about Victor.
Sure.
And it's just like that's what's going to happen because he's a 19-year-old phenom. He can do things that we've never seen before. And you have all of these guys who've bought into it, and they're like, you know what? Let him be the superstar. We're here for him. He's our brother. He's our guy. I think at the crux of it, it's like he's a kid. Yeah. All these guys are kids.
Yeah, they are. And, Pop said it last year too, they would be watching film and then they have to remind themselves, oh yeah, they're 19. We've told them it's going to take a few more times. And, as far as the whole, I'm sure, there's going to be a fine maybe, internally with the team or something like that, of being late or stuff like that. But Pop knows what's going on too. It's not like he's going to tear into anybody for doing something like that. He's probably well aware of, saying goodbye to your family. You have to, take that time, and Pop knows that more than anybody.
Yeah. And Wemby, to put it lightly, he shrunk in that big moment on Wednesday. He did not have a great game. I think he was over 8 from the field. His first points were from the free throw line. I think his first basket came in the third quarter. It was a very, very bad game for Victor. It was a bad game for the entire team.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. And when you're on that big of a stage, you're on ESPN in Madison Square Garden with 18,000 fans standing there waiting for you to do something amazing or waiting to dog you if you come up short. It's like that's what's going to happen, and that can wear on anybody, let alone a 19-year-old kid who's new to the country, he's new to the league, he's new to everything. And so he's sitting there trying to learn, and if you have a bad game like that, of course, what's the first thing you want to do? You want to go hug your mom. And, like, she's whispering words of encouragement in his ear, and he's just trying to, like, get his mind back right before he leaves and goes back to San Antonio. And it's just amazing that his friends and his brothers and his teammates realize that, see that, and they're like, we're not going to let Victor get yelled at for being late to the bus because he's hugging his mom or he's saying goodbye to his family. And they're cognizant enough to recognize that, be like, you know what? There's strength in numbers. We're going to all, if one of us gets yelled at, we're all going to get yelled at, and let's just wait for him.
Yeah. It's neat to see that dynamic, and going back to the performance on the court, they're going to have those. I mean, you look at Phoenix the other night, that second game where they started out and they scored 39 points in the first quarter. It was 70 something in the first half. They were shooting the nets off, in that first half. So the shoe goes on the other foot. Other teams get hot, and no matter how much you try to defensively rotate and get out there and defend the paint and defend the 3-point line, other teams are going to have their night. So it happens, and sure, maybe we'll never know. He'll say it won't, but maybe the Garden debut got into his head a little bit. It might have. We'll never know. Only he will know, and maybe Coach Pop. But again, there's going to be other games, and he's going to learn from this. And it's an off night. Chalk it up. It's a young team, and they're still. We're only 2 weeks in.
Yeah, the other thing I wanted to get into. So anyway, go read Mike Finger's article. It was fantastic. He's a great columnist. He's one of the best in the country. So lucky to have him at the San Antonio Express News and following everybody in San Antonio. So another thing I wanted to get into, so Don the other day tweeted out on Wednesday, quote, "I did a long commentary 2 weeks ago explaining why you should take the over on the Spurs winning more than 28.5 games. I formally apologize." I, for one, don't. I still think they're going to win over 28.5 games. I think they're horrible defensively right now, and it just takes being together and playing together and figuring out your defensive rotations. I said a couple of weeks ago on the pod that with Jeremy starting, there's no one that they can't defend. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'll take that back because it seems like there's no one that they can defend right now.
Yeah.
The Pacers are going to score with anybody. I think they're averaging like 135 points, 130 points a game. Like, that's going to happen. But when you give up so many points to the Knicks, when you give up so many points to the Raptors, who are offensively inept sometimes, it causes a little bit of question about their defense. However, when it comes to Don's tweet, I still think they're a 40-win team. I still think they're a fringe playoff team. I still think this is a very good team. It's just going to take a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and it's something you and I talked about last week. Again, it's like as far as the Sohan experiment's concerned, but overall the theme was it's going to take some time.
It is.
They have to play together. They're 8 games in, so of 82. And hopefully there's hundreds of more after that, when you look ahead to next season and the season after that. So it will take some time and it'll get there eventually, I think. And yeah, you're going to run into some teams, like we said earlier, where it's just they're going to be on every night. And sometimes it's like no matter how hard you contest or play well defensively, right now they're not, but even when the shots are falling and you're doing everything right, it's just, hey, those guys are getting paid too.
Well, and you look at how the Knicks are built. The Knicks are built on great defense, on grinding you out, on playing physically. Julius Randle is 8 inches shorter than Wemby is, 7 inches shorter than Wemby is, probably weighs at least 50, 60 pounds heavier. Like, Mitchell Robinson is a beast when it comes to his physical presence. So it's like, you're going to get pushed out of the paint. You're going to get out-rebounded sometimes by guys that outweigh you by 50, 60 pounds. Yep. And so that was the defensive game plan for the Knicks when they came in, and they out-physicaled Wemby, and that's going to happen. He's 19 years old. He's 7'3", 4", whatever you want to call him. He's maybe 215 pounds. Like, he's going to get out-physicaled sometimes, and it takes adjusting to that and figuring out, okay, how do I use my leverage and all that stuff. He's still figuring it out. It's going to be fine. But you saw after the game, I don't know if you saw it, it was when they were saying goodbye and Pop was going over to Tibbs, you could kind of read his lips, and he's like, it's going to take a while.
And I think everybody's making that leap that they're talking about, the future of this team. I mean, we don't know what context he's saying that in.
Right.
It could have been to something else that Thibodeau is saying, but more than likely, yeah, it's to the overall direction of this team. And again, so it's like, and Spurs fans know that. They knew that probably going in. Of course, everybody's going, well, wait, they said during media day it's about winning now. And yeah, they want to win now because it's like you've got the generational talent. It's just now you have to see, okay, what pieces do we put around him? Who's able to gel and play defense with him in order to make this the best team that we can.
Yeah, and speaking of being physical, tonight they're playing the Wolves here at home in the Frost Bank Center. The line is 6.5 right now. Last time I checked for the T-Wolves, over-under's 225.5. It's another physical team. Rudy Gobert is going to be physical with you if you get inside. Cat is going to be physical with you when you get inside. So it's going to be another test to see if Zach Collins can kind of be that enforcer role and take on Rudy Gobert and maybe out-rebound him, or if you're going to have to put Wemby down on the block, if you're going to have to rely on Wemby to get more rebounds and kind of be that offensive stalwart and see how you can kind of adjust to another physical squad.
Yeah, I'm just curious to see if they can hold a team under 110 or something like that. So that's the main thing. I mean, the offense will come around. It's some nights it'll be there, some nights it won't, just because of how the shots are falling. So I'm really curious to see how they just play defensively and if they're making the adjustments there. It sounds like the focus is taking care of the paint first and then looking outward. I think sometimes maybe Victor just kind of gets caught up in I need to be everywhere and defend everywhere because I can alter all these shots and everything. And it's just like, you're 1 of 5. So
Yeah, you saw on Wednesday there was a lot of times when someone would drive the lane and Victor would collapse, but you can't really collapse when you're guarding RJ Barrett or a lot of other small forwards and shooting guards. Like you can collapse if you're guarding Rudy Gobert, but when you're guarding guards and small forwards that can shoot the three, it's hard to kind of sag off of them and collapse and disrupt shots in the middle of the key because they're going to kick it out. And even though you're 7'4", you can't recover 20 feet.
Right. Yeah.
It's difficult for them. And you notice that a lot, especially when people are making their shots like the Knicks were on Wednesday. So I expect a couple competitive games. They're playing on Sunday as well here at Frostbank against the Heat at 6 o'clock. So that'll be a good test, seeing how he goes against Bam Adebayo and all those guys from Miami.
But tonight is the first of the in-season tournament games. So
God, this is so ugly. God, they're so bad. Do you see? So this is why things go along because I always digress. But do you see the Mavericks apparently are playing on their core court tonight instead of the in-season tournament court because of a manufacturing thing that happened. And so I saw someone, I forgot who it was.
So we're still blaming stuff on supply chain issues?
Apparently.
Okay.
So I saw someone quote tweet it, and they're like, can all teams have bad manufacturing, please? And can we go back to the core courts? Like,
so people aren't a fan, huh?
Yeah, I like the Spurs and all, but the court's really ugly. Isn't it though?
Some fans will like it. I don't know. I'm indifferent on it because to me it's just like what it's still the same 94 feet or whatever. Who cares what color the court is?
Missing. It's like
yeah, I know. It's a little different. It's an adjustment to the eye and everything.
It's like every team is playing at Boise State and their blue turf. It's like what's going on here?
But I think I saw this on Twitter the other day, and somebody brings up a good point. It's just like as bad, whatever side of the fence you fall on with the City Edition jerseys and stuff like that. The thing is that they're flying off the shelves and stuff. And if you don't want the NBA to keep on doing this, guess what? Yeah, it's got to stop. And then it's like, oh, okay, well, we need to figure something else out. So,
well, especially now that they have new City jerseys every year, it seems like. So, I don't know.
It's the flashy thing. Everybody's getting into the Oregon thing because it's all Nike.
Yeah, I say we just nix the in-season tournament. I don't even know how it operates, so let's just cut it out. Let's get to the Cowboys and the Giants. So Cowboys, like we said, coming off a tough loss to Philly, lost by 5, and they had every opportunity to win that game and then some. They're playing the Giants, who are just the franchise from hell this year. I mean, literally nothing else could go wrong for them, I don't think. They've lost Saquon for a significant amount of time this year, lost their starting quarterback, they've lost their backup quarterback, now playing Tommy DeVito, who probably is worse than Danny DeVito at playing quarterback. Like, he's horrible. I don't know if there's any other DeVitos. They're probably also better than Tommy. They just signed Matt Barkley off the couch to come in and be the backup quarterback from USC. It's just like, what the hell is going on? Darren Waller, their big offseason pickup, is also on IR now. This line is 17 points. It could probably be 24 points, and they might still get action on the Cowboys. Like, it's a dumpster fire over there in New York.
Well, for the Cowboys, I mean, you got to go out and play your game and not play with your food and get this done. You have an opportunity for when the Eagles come to Dallas in December on the 10th to potentially still be in the hunt for the NFC East. Just looking at the schedules, I don't think the Cowboys are looking ahead because you have Carolina next, and then it's Thanksgiving after that. So, they can put this one away quickly. And they've been playing well at home. 11 straight games at home.
Yeah.
They've dominated the Giants, not just this season, but you go back and it's like 11 straight in a row or something like that. So, but again, it feels a little bit like yeah, everything's, Cowboys. this is starting to feel a little bit like the Arizona thing, where it's just like, oh yeah, we go out there and just roll out of bed and take care of business and it's done. This is where it gets, this is where you kind of just watch out.
I get that, and Micah had a quote.
I don't think they will.
I get that. Micah had a quote this week saying, never just trying to overlook an opponent. We see where that got us this year, just trying to stay grounded, coming off of a rough loss. This game is a lot more importance to it. And it does. Like,
they're obviously aware.
This is a must-win.
Yeah.
Like, in order to even compete for the NFC East title, you have to win this game. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Right.
I fully expect them to win this game.
Yeah.
However, it's like you've put yourself in a position where so much more pressure is heaped upon you because of the loss to the Niners and the loss to the Eagles and even the loss to the Cardinals a little earlier this year. It's like you have no margin for error anymore. So all that pressure is on you. And yes, you could probably run out your backups and still maybe win this game.
Right.
But it's a must win.
I don't know if there's you're right. There is pressure where their margin of error is thinning. I don't think it's completely gone just yet. Just with the schedules or with the games that they have coming down the schedule, they're winnable games. And again, it all sets up for that big showdown against the Eagles on December 10th. If you take care of business and do all that, because you look at the Eagles schedule too, they're on a bye this week, I believe, correct? Mm-hmm. And then it's Chiefs, Bills, and 49ers. Now, granted, Bills, 49ers maybe not looking as scary as they used to, but it's just those are teams that are contending, quote unquote.
Yeah.
So it's, if Eagles drop 2 out of those 3, then guess what? Both teams 9-3 coming in.
I mean, the Bills aren't looking too good either, especially after they lose to the Broncos on Monday night. I mean, it's gonna be a rough one for them.
The Bills, yeah. I mean, and the Bills though, they seem to get up for those big games.
Yeah, they do. The Bills are one of those teams that they play to the level of their opponent. If it's a really good opponent, they'll step up and play really well. If it's a bad opponent, then you saw them against the Giants a couple of weeks ago where they barely came away with a win there.
Right.
And that was at home in Buffalo. So 4 of the next 5 are at home for the Cowboys. I mean, you're home to the Giants. Your only away game is next week against the Panthers, and I fully expect them to win that game. Thanksgiving, they're playing Washington. It's a tough division game. You never know how those are going to go.
That one's interesting.
That one's the trap, because then you're home to the Seahawks the next week, and then you're home to the Eagles the week after that. So that, in my opinion, it's win-win. I don't know, against Washington.
Yeah. The Thanksgiving game is interesting because the Commanders, definitely they have something with their quarterback. The name escapes me at the moment, but anyway,
Sam Howell.
Yeah, Sam Howell. I mean, he balled out against the Eagles.
Yep.
So
twice.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that Thanksgiving game, and then you got Seahawks the week after on a Thursday again, and then you've got a nice kind of almost like a built-in bye week again before the Eagles again. So. Again, it's all in front of the Cowboys, and they're fully aware of it. They know that we can't overlook anybody. We did that already. So I think if you just come out, you shut down the running game, it allows you to get after the quarterback. Make life crazy for DeVito and have fun against that pass rush. Hopefully he said his Hail Marys before Sunday.
Dude wakes up with like crazy. Like his life is crazy. He can't understand an NFL field.
And maybe this is an opportunity for the Cowboys to get the ground game going. Right now it seems very, pass centric, and it's throw the ball and get it to CeeDee Lamb and spread it around. So hopefully maybe you can find something with the ground game. They did, I think, in that fourth quarter, because they popped off a couple runs against the Eagles with Pollard and Dowdle.
Yeah, and you see that Dak's running more now too. He's kind of accepting the role that he
made
can
plays
still
with
make
his
some
legs.
Plays.
It was great.
Absolutely. But that goes to a bigger point. They have to get the running game going.
They do.
They cannot run the ball right now, and I think I don't know what their rank is in the NFC or in the league. I know it's bottom 3rd with running the ball. They're really, really bad on the ground, and they have to get Rico going at least a little bit so they can try and free up Tony as that kind of change of pace back that he's been so good at.
And something else that I made a note of this in the Philly game, and it boggles me. Brandon Cooks against the Eagles, the first target came in the fourth quarter, and it's just like you bring this guy in to be that second that secondary guy to CeeDee Lamb, and it's just like, what's happening when you're only targeting him for the first time in the fourth quarter?
Yeah.
It's crazy. So I don't know how they get him more involved in everything. Again, I think Jake Ferguson is growing into that tight end role. He's
playing well.
He's impressed these past few weeks. CD is doing CD things. So you've got the weapons. It's just, how do you distribute it to everybody to where it's just the defenses are going, okay, who's it going to? We don't know.
That's the most encouraging part of their offense the past few weeks is how Dak and CD have kind of gotten on the same page, and they've fully developed that relationship now. I think it was 11 catches, 191 against Philly. They did add to the receiving core this week too, though. Mm-hmm. They added a 31-year-old Martavis Bryant who had been suspended from the league and out of the league since 2018 because of substance abuse issues. I believe it was marijuana or something like that. Consistent suspensions from the league because of violating their policies. He played in the XFL last year. When he was last seen, he was a great receiver. Like he was a number two, a really good number two receiver. He's always that deep threat. Don't know what you get from him now at 31 years old, but when you don't really have a number two option right now, you might as well throw something at the ball and see what sticks.
Sure, yeah. Get him on the practice squad, get his legs under him here for a couple weeks, and who knows, maybe you rotate him in because right now Jalen Tolbert seems to be the guy being number three instead of Michael Gallup. I mean, Michael Gallup can still, I think, make some catches. There's something there. It's just, I don't know if it's a confidence issue or what, but I don't know much about Martavis Bryant other than just he's got the wide receiver frame. He's huge. So it's like, you stick him opposite CD and it's just like, have fun.
Well, yeah, when he played with the Steelers, he was that deep threat where you just throw it downfield and see
50-50 balls,
see if he can come up with it. And then I think he was with the Raiders right after that. He's a really good receiver when he was in the league. It's 5 years later now.
Sure.
I don't know what he has left, but when you have Brandon Cooks, who apparently they just can't figure out how to get open or target, and then you have Michael Gallup, who can't catch a ball when he's targeted 10 or 12 times in a game and just comes up with 4 receptions for like 15 yards, you need that second option. And we came into the season thinking they have that second option, and they might have a third option, and now they don't. And so signing Martavis Bryant, whether it works out or whether it doesn't, it's a low risk, high reward.
Yeah.
So, who wins and do they cover?
I
17 is a big number.
Yeah, it is. Whatever it is. I think the Giants probably get a backdoor cover, just some garbage time with like a late touchdown or something like that. So I'm going to put it like 31-17.
31-17. I could see that. I think my bold prediction is that the Cowboys defense gets two touchdowns this game.
I mean, that's definitely in the cards, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I see that them getting one for sure, like whether it's a pick six or a fumble or the special teams maybe getting one. Vontae Turpin's been on the injured list this week, so injury report this week. So I wonder how he's going to come out and play this game if he is. But team's getting pretty healthy, and I expect them to roll. I think they'll cover because I think that they beat a healthy Giants team by 40 week one. So I don't think that the Giants are going to score. I don't see any way that they can score. And I mean, unless the defense comes out and they're just like tooting their own horn and blowing smoke up their own ass.
Look, it's easy. Come out, shut down Saquon Barkley, make him one-dimensional, make him throw the ball, and then just start teeing off and get after it. That should be how the Cowboys are thinking about this.
Micah should be looking at this game like he's going to end with 4 sacks and 2 forced fumbles and a fumble recovery for a touchdown. He should be salivating over this game. So I wanted to bring something up as we get out of here. I was getting destroyed on Twitter earlier today, and people were like, I tweeted something out, and then people started texting me asking me if I was okay. If I seem jittery. So I ordered from Starbucks a little earlier today. I got 8 shots of espresso and in a latte.
Lord.
Yeah, it's
hold it down a little bit.
Bad?
I guess
is that bad?
That's the Dan Campbell order.
Yeah, that is the Dan Campbell order. So is that like weird? Is that a weird order to get 8 shots of espresso?
I mean, were you up all night or something?
No, it's just
I don't know. Well, I mean, you seem fine. So
I don't seem jittery at all.
I mean, yeah,
I don't.
Hopefully that cardio's in good shape and everything. I'm sure it is, but yeah, that vascular system's going to be pumping.
I mean, we got a full night of high school football tonight, man. I got to stay up, stay awake, stay aware.
Yeah, I know the adrenaline's going, but I don't need that much coffee. I mean, thankfully.
How much coffee do you drink a day?
It's maybe 8 or 10 ounces. I have a cup in the morning, and then I try and shut it down. And then, in the afternoon, if I need a pick-me-up, then, I'll go maybe like half a cup.
So, yesterday I had 3 sugar-free Red Bulls throughout the day.
To be young. To be young.
You're not that much older than me. You're really not that much older than me.
I know. I like to kid. It's my aw shucks self-deprecating self.
But 8 shots of espresso. I'll probably have another cup a little later. Just for the taste. Like caffeine doesn't do that to me. It's caffeine. It's nice.
Yeah, you've built up a tolerance, I guess.
Yeah,
man. Those receptors are blocked off.
Caffeine's my drug of choice. It takes a lot. Takes a lot to get me there, but
We'll just hang an IV bag next to your desk so you can just mainline it. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all we got.
Stay in school, kids.
Stay in school or drink coffee, either way. That's all we got for today, the Friday edition of the Sneakers and Cleats podcast. A little quicker than normal. We're going to try and speed these things up a little bit. I do want to get a quick prediction. Is Oklahoma winning this weekend?
Oh, I don't know. I'm trying to manifest some Bud Wilkinson old school vibes into my alma mater this weekend. It's been a rough couple weeks.
It has been a rough couple weeks for you. That one last week was not good.
Yeah, well,
especially last Friday when you were like, we don't consider Bedlam the big rival.
We don't. But I mean, it's still a big game, and it being the last one or whatever. But the offense just needs to find consistency. It's infuriating when you have success with offense and then they decide to, do you know what? Yeah, let's roll out a gadget play. Let's put our quarterback in the running back spot. And it's just like, no, stick with what works. You don't see any other NFL teams or college teams doing this. It's just like you're dominating. Run it down their throat. But I don't know. These college coaches, man, they like to get cute.
So Oklahoma wins this weekend?
I guess. I don't know. It's West Virginia.
Longhorns cover the 3?
Longhorns, I'm curious. With Quinn back, they should. That should be fine. I mean, it being on the road, with Quinn taking a couple, will there be rust? Probably not. If they can just keep him clean, they got to protect him because you don't want to. I've seen shoulder injuries. I saw that with Sam Bradford, front row and center. He got injured with a shoulder injury first game of the year. He came back, but that first hit that he took, that was it. It was done.
Jonathan Brooks is going to have to have a big game. That running game is going to have
that'll help.
Huge.
But I think, too, the big thing with Texas is they know what they have in Malik Murphy. And it's not Quinn Ewers, but you know what? They know, hey, we can move the ball with Malik. So that's a nice, back pocket ace that they have.
A&M Ole Miss, or A&M Mississippi State, excuse me.
They
need a win.
But I really liked seeing A&M come back against. They nearly beat Ole Miss.
Yeah, that was close.
So that was something that I think A&M they maybe again they're probably the most talented 5-4 team or whatever their record is
as they usually
in the country. Yeah, that's always the line, isn't it, for the Aggies? So I think, of course, them being back at Kyle Field, I think they get the win.
UTSA. I think they're 17-point favorites right now against Rice.
But
Rice
and
is a frisky team.
Well, and they played well against who was it, SMU or something like that.
Yeah.
It was close. Now I don't know what their quarterback situation is. I'm hearing like it's a backup or somebody, but it's just like the line doesn't move that much just for a backup quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean that's crazy. So it's like I don't know what the Sharps know that we don't or anything, but. I think UTSA takes care of business. They keep on rolling because I think they see the light at the end of the tunnel. If they take care of business and then go into that game against Tulane, which is in the national window, 2:30, the day after Thanksgiving against Tulane, that's going to be huge.
It's going to be a monster game.
So these
last on ABC too.
Yeah, these last 2 games at home, they know what they have to do. I think they take care of business.
Yeah, tomorrow's going to be the first game I'm attending at the Alamo Dome as a fan. Like I'm not actually covering the game, so we'll actually
have fun, man.
Hopefully it's a good win. Hopefully it's a lot of points. Hopefully I remember it at the end of the day. That's all we got for you today.
I don't know. After all your coffee, man. Yeah,
yeah. Well, usually during the week it's the coffee. During the weekends it's another beverage. Remember to download, rate, review, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating. Tell a friend, tell an enemy, tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your grandma. Hi, Mimi. We'll be back on Monday as always. I believe Chuck and Don will be back with me. We'll talk about hopefully Cowboys win in a successful successful weekend, of college and professional football and basketball for the Spurs. So until then, have a good weekend. We'll see you then.